In this episode, we discuss the importance of social connection. This topic sprung from our own realisation of how, as entrepreneurs, we can sometimes feel isolated with our heads down in work. However, recently, we've been speaking at events and networking, and the fulfilment it's brought has been staggering.
This led us to look at some of the research around how a lack of social interaction can negatively affect not just our mental health, but our physical health too, as well as our longevity. We finish up by offering 5 tips to encourage our listeners to invest in social interactions and reap the huge rewards. Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. How are you all? Really excited to discuss this one because, yet again, it's a kind of personal one for us. We're going to be talking about the importance of social connection. But I'm just wondering what we have been up to, actually. We've had quite a quiet week.
It hasn't felt quiet, so we've been super busy with work, but I know what you mean.
We haven't been doing events, we haven't been going out, lots and lots, meeting people and things like that. But actually the week before that was really busy, so I think we've just been heads down in work and also enjoying a second burst of summer. It's lovely weather again today, so I hope you've all been, if you're in the UK, I hope you've been enjoying a bit more of the sunshine before we go into autumn. But it is a bit weird because we've got lots of beautiful autumn leaves on the floor, and yet it's very, very
26
warm.
degrees, I think.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
We've been sat inside all day, so we're going to go out a bit after this and just get into...
We're going to go out and get some social interaction and connection.
And some vitamin D in the sunshine. So let's dive straight on in, since we haven't got lots of other news. I will talk about this first. We are running our first masterclass. I don't know if you've been following us for a while, but you will know that we took some time out in the summer to really disengage, but also re-engage with the next steps in the evolution of the Midlife Mentors and also our retreats company, 38 Degrees North. And we were doing a lot of masterclasses, we were doing lots of 3-4 day challenges and things like that, and we just pressed pause on those. But we're really thrilled to say that we are doing a live masterclass on Thursday, the 21st of September at 8 p.m. UK time. And the focus really is on why midlife can feel rubbish and how to turn that around, because a lot of us there are so many struggles and challenges at midlife, and we can very, very quickly feel like we're isolated in those problems and alone. And we don't really know what's going on with our body, our minds, our emotions. So it's a super overwhelming time. So we really wanted to do this masterclass to really help you understand that you are not alone, that you've more than likely been working against your midlife body and hormones and mind for a while, but we're going to offer some really simple strategies, evidence-based strategies that we use in the Midlife Method transformational program. We're going to be sharing those with you on about a 45-minute session. And you're going to get a workbook to make notes and take away with you and re-engage with. And then we're going to be doing a Q&A live at the end of it. So it's a real opportunity to ask us questions on our expertise and really, really dive into what you can do. But these are simple strategies. They are takeaways that don't require massive sacrifice, endless cardio, horrible diet, all of that kind of stuff. We're anti all of that. It's really a way to start thriving at midlife and regain control. So we're really excited about that. I'll put the link in the show notes, and we really, really hope to see a lot of you there in person. We can see your lovely faces. Yeah. And then we've obviously got our retreat in Ibiza, which is at the amazing Six Senses. That's on the 19th of October. We've got a few spaces left on that. So if you're really interested in just, again, like really disconnecting, if you're feeling burnt out, overstressed and all of that kind of stuff, or you just want to reset after summer, then come away with us. Be with us in our presence, like learn all the stuff that we teach midlifers to really, really like thrive, reach their potential, and start experiencing optimum health and happiness. So that's at the Six Senses Resort in Ibiza, and I'll put the link to the show notes in that as well. Okay. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, so why are we talking about social connection?
Why are we?
Actually, because it is so important, unsurprisingly maybe, for our mental health, but also it has a massive effect on our physical health as well. And researchers are making new findings all the time, and it's quite fascinating, like the power that being isolated has on negatively impacting your health. And I think, we saw this during COVID, obviously with lockdown, a lot of people are very isolated. And there is like an issue now, like in the UK, I don't know, there's 635,000 people currently off work with anxiety is one stat, and there's about another 500,000 in the midlife workforce that have just disappeared from the workplace altogether. No one's quite sure what's happened to them. They've just opted to leave work. But they're, interestingly, people that haven't perhaps got the pensions or savings to exist long term, so they haven't actually retired, they've just opted out of the workforce for the time being. And there is a consensus or a school of thought this is probably like a knock-on effect, some of that isolation that went on through COVID. Also, people that may be reevaluating what they were doing with their lives and what they wanted to get from their lives. But we thought we'd dive into some of the research, some of the surprising stuff you can find out. And this really came from, I guess, our personal experience. So obviously we ran our live event at Soho House. It's been a while since we were up on stage, not really a stage, but two stools at the front, talking to a room full of people, and it was so rewarding. To interact with people, have people following up afterwards, have people messaging us. I think Claire met up with someone from there as well. Yeah. So that was just really great to get that. And actually, what triggered it? A guy at the end actually asked me, because we did identify, one thing that you need is not to be isolated in midlife and beyond. He's like how can I be less isolated? So we'll come on to that, and then I know Claire's been out there going to networking events, and you're off to staff a retreat at the end of October as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. This is it's really interesting because I thought, why was I so buzzing last week? Why was I so buzzing? And it is because of this social connection. And I think for me, I am really guilty, especially since COVID, and I hadn't really realised this, but I realised that the times I feel uninspired, the times I feel stuck, the times I feel like a low self-confidence is actually because I've not been out there enough and I've not been connected with people, because one of my highest values is connection. So when I don't get it, I don't feel like me. I don't feel like I'm fully operating at my potential and my passion. So when I went to a networking event last week, which was just phenomenal, I'm going to give them a shout out, Female Founders Rise. They were absolutely amazing. And I just met so many inspiring women there, but it was just the energy of the place and being face to face with people and learning about other people's journeys and stuff. It's so incredible. Especially as an entrepreneur, I'm lucky. I'm not a solopreneur. I've got James with me. But even that can feel quite isolating. You've got your head down.
And sometimes you don't feel so lucky to have it with you.
I do. And it can feel so isolating. You've got your head down in things. You can't see the wood for the trees. You don't have enough perspective. You don't open yourself to possibilities and opportunities. So I was buzzing last week, so to the point where I've made new connections with some of those women that I met. I'm meeting up with them over the next couple of weeks before we go to America. And that really, really excites me, opening up my network. And I realised I just hadn't done it enough. Really hadn't done it enough, and how it had negatively impacted me. So that's where this came from. Yes, Soho House. Yes, that lovely chap coming up and asking James that question, but also a real realisation from myself. And now I'm like, right, what networking events can I go to? Like, how can I not just get something, because that's not what networking events are for and connection is for, but how can I give? Like, how can I ignite my soul and give that enthusiasm, that passion to other people, and how can I help? So that's where that came from. So let's dive in to the importance of social connection.
Yeah, I just want to make a point at the start as well. Quantity actually is important, but so is quality, right? I'm sure we all know people who potentially have hundreds or thousands of social media friends and are always out, but actually they're very lonely individuals because they've only got surface level connection with a host of people. So it's about, we do need like a decent sized group of people, and maybe for different aspects of our lives we want different people, but we also need a meaningful connection with them. I think that's really important to say at the outset.
Yeah, and obviously we did a podcast on those 5 people, can't remember what the podcast is called now, but around, it's really, really important that those 5, those closest to you support you, inspire you, checking out whether you're around energy vampires and not. So that's kind of leading on to this quite nicely, this social connection. But James is right. The most popular people, we know this, we've heard this in the media, the most popular people like stars and influencers and things like that, they've got all of this around them, but actually they feel really, really isolated because they don't have meaningful connections with people. So let's dive in to we've got 10 evidence-backed points actually highlighting the importance of social connection. So I don't know whether you want to dive in with the first one.
Yeah, the first one, like I said, unsurprisingly, is improved mental health. If we're isolated, if we feel lonely, if we feel that we're alone, that can start to take a toll on our mental health. You see, people are put into solitary confinement as a punishment because it does take a toll on their mental health. And we saw that in COVID, as we said earlier. People were locked down at home, isolated, they couldn't see friends and family. It can affect you. So there's all kinds of evidence there saying that if we are isolated or we have less social contact, it can degrade our sense of well-being, our sense of happiness. It can increase our rates of depression, of anxiety, and other mental issues as well. Because when we see friends, loved ones, when we're out in our community, we get emotional support. We get to talk about the things that are on our mind that are bothering us, and that reduces our feeling of being so alone. So, that improved psychological well-being is a proven factor in being out there having social connection.
Absolutely. And the second one is that it actually helps reduce stress, something that us midlifers are very, very well versed in. It's socialising and spending time with supportive people can absolutely help reduce stress. Again, this has been proven through different research, but conversations and shared experiences with friends and family members can trigger actually the release of oxytocin, which is a hormone that promotes relaxation and reduces stress. So, it's all very, we can, and I'm guilty of this, getting kind of really, really mixed up in the stress of life, mixed up in the stress of work, of commitments and things like that. And I think to myself, I don't necessarily have time, which is a lie. I don't have time to go and spend the afternoon with my parents, or I don't have time to go and spend it with friends and things like that. But actually, if we're looking at reducing stress and coming back with a clearer mind to the chores and the things and the tasks we have to do, you're actually going to be more focused because you've managed to reduce some of the stress and step away from it and get the real benefits of being with friends and family.
The next one is enhanced cognitive function. Now, this one is really, really important. There's more and more research coming out, actually.
Fascinating.
That there's a couple of things. One is keeping like a wide and in-depth, like a quality social network. The other one is continually learning new skills. Will actually slow down brain aging or brain deterioration, and we're seeing more and more links that it can help lower the risk of things like Alzheimer's and dementia as well. So certainly we do know that being alone, home alone when you're older, is a big risk factor for these degenerative cognitive diseases. So again, to prevent cognitive decline, really important that we have these social interactions. And as well that we're learning new skills, new things all the time. Just stay curious, I say.
Oh, I love that. Stay curious. Number 4 is actually it promotes a longer lifespan. So kind of rolling on from the last one, but numerous studies have found that individuals with strong social ties tend to live longer as well. Socially connected people often have healthier lifestyles, receive more support during times of illness, and may be more motivated to take care of their health in general. So it seems to promote healthier habits, actually. When we've got greater social connection and a greater social network, it seems to promote habits of health and wellness.
Now, here's a surprising one for you. Cardiovascular health. Social isolation and loneliness are associated with an increased risk of heart disease. Now, no one's quite sure why, the causality of that relationship, but it's there. And conversely, social connections have been shown to improve cardiovascular health. We get reduced blood pressure and lower the risk of heart-related problems. So again, just having those social connections lowers your risk of heart issues.
And that leads on to the next point, number 6, which is a general immune system support, actually. So feeling connected and supported can lead to a stronger immune system. Again, lots of body of research around this, helping the body fight off illnesses and infections. It's crazy, isn't it? Like this whole mind, body, emotion, soul link to having these social connections.
Next one, again, another surprising one, is pain management. So being around people can actually help you cope with pain better, increase your tolerance to pain. Now, I'd hypothesize there's probably sort of distraction effect there, right? If you're just sitting at home alone with pain, you're probably quite focused on that. But perhaps if you've got people around that are distracting you, talking to you, chatting to you, or doing things, you might not be as aware of it. But again, the research is there to show that pain management is enhanced by having those social interactions.
The next one, number 8, is better sleep. So it makes me so sad because, I've experienced times in my life like this, and I know James would have done as well after his divorce and various different times of our life. But, loneliness is crippling. It is a really, really painful feeling. I can actually feel the feelings like welling up in me now. Loneliness is really hard. I think that's why with COVID it was so painful.
It's an awful catch-22, isn't it? When you're in that space, because you feel lonely, and you're like, oh, you know what? The time's passing so slowly. And you're like, I might as well go to bed. And then you go to bed and you can't sleep as well.
Yeah, and I think when you're lonely, and we're going to kind of cover some tips at the end, like we always do. But again, it's really common and understandable that when you feel like this, the last thing you want to do is go out and make social interactions, because you think, like, who am I to... I've got nothing to say. I've got nothing to give. There's nothing in me. I'm just lonely, and all of that stuff that happens around that that negative self-talk that goes on when we're feeling lonely. But James is right. Loneliness and social isolation are often linked to like sleep disturbances, because we want to go to bed, but we feel so like emotionally wounded and finding it very, very difficult to deal with those problems that we can't actually sleep. So again, another body of research looks at the positive impact of social connections on better sleep, a better quality of sleep and duration of sleep as well.
And the next one, that's point 9 now, so just 2 more to go, including this one. Emotional resilience. So, of course, we know at Midlife we talk about this endlessly, all the stresses and stressors that we face, all the things going on. But if we have people that we can share that with, it provides a buffer against those challenges, and it helps us actually increase or at least maintain, or oftentimes increase, our emotional resilience, our ability to deal with the challenges life throws at us and bounce back from them, because, problems shared. So this is why we should get out there and start talking to our social network about what's bothering us. The vulnerability is a form of strength. It helps us cope better with it.
Yeah, and the final one is better improves quality of life. So engaging with friends, family, the community as a whole can provide that sense of purpose, a sense of passion, inspiration, happiness, fulfillment. All of these have an impact on our physical and mental health as well. So we feed off the energy of other people, and that can really give us a focus, real clarity for the future, and an enthusiasm for the future that we might actually be losing a little bit at midlife. So honestly, the reason we're talking about this is because midlife is a time where we can start to become quite isolated, especially the male population, actually.
Definitely.
Females, we seem to, it's inbred in us. The feminine qualities is to talk and share and keep up with our network of friends. But for men, it's a terrifying stats and terrifying look, actually, at some of these men that reach midlife, where they're coming to the end of their careers potentially, and they're just... that work was the only thing that they ever had in their life, that they worked so hard, and work was the only social interaction that they actually had. And then once actually they retire and move away from their work environment, their social network shrinks considerably. And so a lot of this stuff is really, really relevant to us, all of us at midlifers, but I would say particularly men. So they're out there 10 reasons, why it's important. And again, we haven't gone into all the stats because sometimes we can do that, but we haven't gone into all the stats, but they're the reasons why it's really important. And now we're going to offer...
Well, I was just actually asking you to just pause and reflect, listener. Like, just reflect, having listened to those and seeing... the impact that social connection or lack of social connection can have. Like, if you're honest with yourself and review your social interactions, are they fulfilling you? Are they there? Some of us might actually know that, actually, you know what? I know I am quite lonely. I need to seek out more. Some of us might be like, oh, I think I've got loads, but actually when we reflect, it's like, I'm not really getting what I need from them because they're very surface level. So just take a moment to think about that before we go into the tips, because tips are going to give you signposts of what you can do to change that.
Yeah, and it's really important, and I think that's what, again, that relates to the podcast we did about, certain friendships are for seasons, and there will be seasons in your life where you potentially might need to let go of certain friendships to allow new ones to evolve and come in, to create space for those. But yeah, like James said, just reflect on that and actually really understand the importance of connecting with others.
I want to say as well, it's important you find that the social connections and the groupings that work for you, right? We're all different. Find what works. I just want to share a brief story with you. And that is, I had a girlfriend who used to go to these spiritual groups. So the purpose there was kind of like talk, express your emotion, elevate your spirituality. But she always came back like really worked up from them, and like, she said, I find them so competitive. We go around a circle and we wait for what the next person says, and the next person will try and outdo them by being even more spiritual, and it's so faux, and I come back really angry. And I was like, yeah, and I think I've probably had just a more honest conversation over a beer with two mates in a bar because we're just being open and vulnerable with each other. So there's not wrong and right. You need to find what works for you.
Yeah, checking our feelings are our indicators of what's working and what's not. So if you come away from a social interaction and it doesn't feel good, then no worries, just move on to the next thing. It's really, really important that we take some risks and that we step outside our comfort zone, especially when it comes to connections. Like, actually, most people would think that I can bowl on into any networking event and not feel nervous and anxious. Well, that's just not true. I still feel anxious and nervous for the first few minutes, and then I get in the flow of it. But so it's important to do what works for you, but still step outside your comfort zone. So here are 5 tips to help you improve the quality and quantity of your social interactions. So number 1 is join social groups, clubs, hobbies. So look for local social clubs, groups, any hobbies that you might be interested in, and don't think you have to go and be perfect. Okay, again, this kind of comes down to risk taking at midlife, like I briefly mentioned earlier. Imagine, if you can, just think, what would my childlike version of me do? When I tried things, but I didn't put so much pressure on everything, or I didn't feel like I had to be perfect. This is your life. This is your experience. If you want to go and try tap dancing, you go and knock yourself out and try tap dancing. If you find like you absolutely suck at it, don't worry about it. You tried. It's better to try and then realise that you don't enjoy it and it's not for you, and then move on to the next thing, because every single thing we do opens up new neural pathways in our brain, and it also opens up new opportunities and new possibilities. So who knows that tap dancing class doesn't lead you to go and study Spanish? Who knows that it won't lead you to meet someone that's going to take you to another group that's going to actually really fulfill you. So don't try and predict what's going to happen. Don't try and be perfect. Just go with an open heart and an open mind.
There are so many things out there. There's stuff obviously that will be drawn to. It's interesting, but there's so much random stuff out there. We swim in the ponds, but there's quite a little social group around that. People meet up to have tea and cake when they go for swims. Local to us, there's a wine and cheese painting club where they'll go and paint in the style of famous artists while they drink wine and eat cheese in pub. Just all these things. There's so much out there. So don't be afraid to dip your toe in the water and get out there.
Yeah, and don't think, if I've signed up for this, I need to like it. I must like it. You don't need to like it. There's loads of things out there. So yeah, give that a go.
Yeah. Next one is leverage technology. So Obviously, I would say it's always better to go out and get face-to-face and in-person interaction, but sometimes that might not be really... what's the word I'm looking for here? My mind's gone blank.
Well,
might not be convenient for you. Might not be
possible.
convenient or possible. So then look for online forums. So we bang on a lot about like the downside of social media, but the upside is that it is social, right? So we can find like-minded people, we can find groups, we can find interest groups around anything. I guarantee now, if you went onto a social media platform and typed into the search like where you live, you'll find multiple groups for all kinds of different, swapping clothes, buy and sell, games, sports. You can find groups for different levels of entrepreneurship, different interests, reading. Just get out there. What excites you? What turns you on? Start searching on the social media platforms to find the groups, get into them, take a look at what's going on, decide whether it's for you or not. If it is for you, then introduce yourself and crack on.
Yeah, number 3 is a little bit too similar in my mind to number 1, which is kind of like attend events and gatherings, community festivals and things like that as an opportunity to meet people. So I'm going to kind of shoehorn another one in here. And please, when you're going to these things, if you can, try to be very aware of that negative self-talk that might be going on. You know, I believe that everyone has something interesting about them. There is going to be someone out there that finds you interesting. I absolutely promise you. There will be similarities and commonalities with other people, but you won't find them unless you go out there. So just be aware of, and I know it's hard. Listen, like I've been in this position to a degree myself when I had my second divorce, and I just became very, very insular, right? I was on antidepressants. I was very insular. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to meet people. So I do understand that anxiety and the negative self-talk that can go on, but just go gentle with yourself. Don't go and throw yourself into a massive rave event or something, or a huge community festival. Maybe find something that is quite small, that you do have an interest in, and just be careful on that negative self-talk. So honestly, if you think you're feeling anxious, other people will be going along to those groups feeling as anxious, if not more anxious than you are.
Yeah, and I would say if you're feeling a little bit introverted at the moment, and it does feel a bit overwhelming, then pick stuff. This is what I used to do when I used to go on dates and I couldn't really chat very well. Pick stuff where your time will be taken up by something else, but then you'll have something to talk about afterwards. So going to a play, going to someone giving a talk, going to a movie. You're obviously not going to have to talk to people you're with.
Great idea.
Sounds awful, doesn't it? But while that's on, but then afterwards you can talk about, what do you think of that? What do you think of this? So it'll give you a topic, like a commonality there immediately, while not putting you under the pressure to find small talk straight away. Next one is reconnect with old friends. You know, we said like some friends for a season, some for a lifetime, but there may be people that have just dropped out your circle for whatever reason. We're all very busy people. It's always worth reaching out to people and just going, hey, hi, what's going on with you? Do you want to meet up? So definitely, yeah, step into
your bravery and courage there, because that can be hard. But if there's a call, if you've got an instinct and an intuition to connect with someone again, then that's probably telling you something. And finally, practice active listening. Now, how many of us don't do this? You know, as a coach, it's one of the skills that I do have, but sometimes I get so excited that I just want to talk about something and talk. But when we practice active listening during social interactions and show genuine interest in what other people are saying and ask open-ended questions, not yes-no questions, but ask open-ended questions and then respond thoughtfully, those connections are going to be deeper. Way deeper, and those conversations are going to feel more meaningful and enjoyable for everyone, because our basic needs as humans is to be seen, to be heard, and to matter. So if we can see people, if we can hear people, and then we can make them feel like they matter, my goodness, those connections are really, really deep. And hopefully you will find a person that does the same to you in your social interactions. So we hope you found that interesting and thought-provoking.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's only interesting, particularly all the stuff around, I think a lot of stuff around mental health is quite understandable, but stuff around physical health is really, really interesting. Now, if you're looking for a great community to get started in that's friendly and welcoming, then come to our Midlife Mentors community. It's a free one on Facebook. Just type in the Midlife Mentors community and you'll find it. Ask to join and we'll let you in and see you in there.
Yeah, and then obviously we've got our masterclass happening next Thursday. We've got our tribe. If you want to be part of a tribe, I have to say, one of the most beautiful things that our clients always say about us is the community that we've created. I mean, it's got nothing to do with us, really. We've just put it together. The members that are on the Midlife Method and the people that come on our retreats, they make the tribe. They make it so beautiful and supportive and inspiring. But we do get clients all the time saying, oh my goodness, this is the one place I come back to all the time to feel seen, to feel heard, and to feel like I matter and that I'm not alone. And those social connections that we create in our tribe, either on the Midlife Mentors community, inside the Midlife Method, or on our retreats, those relationships and those friendships actually are lasting, you know, that they're long lasting. I know people that have met up with each other completely outside anything that we do. They meet up with each other, they hang out with each other, and they've created friendships for life. So it's a really beautiful space, and I know we're both really, really honoured that we have that in our life. It's a really beautiful thing, because connection is everything for me and for everyone. So sending you lots and lots of love. All the links will be in the show notes, and we will catch up with you next time.
Till next time.
Bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.